Call this meeting to order of the planning board. Present is myself, Fred Matrulli, Tony Colon, and Joseph Palomo as board members, and anyone else who'd like to acknowledge their presence, go ahead.
Just correcting the last name, Caruso.
I'm sorry, did I miss?
All right.
Okay. Start reading the, get this up here. Okay. First case. Case number 4-20.
Mr. Davis is on. Can I just ask a favor? Whoever is in a place could maybe put it on while they're for the time.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Somebody is on in a noisy place. Put it on mute while Fred is doing it.
Yeah, it might be, Tony's in the car. I wonder if that's a problem.
Yeah.
Did you turn off your speaker, Tony? Mute it. Can you hear me?
Mine as well, even though it's quiet here.
I can hear you.
Okay, we ready? Here we go. Case number 4-20, address 606, 608, 614 Court Street and 611 Spring Street. The applicant is David P. Davis. Owner is David P. Davis. Pursuant to City of Utica zoning code select section 229, 274, the applicant is seeking site plan approval for a project to be located on the aforementioned address. The applicant is proposing to construct a 40 by 60 auto sales and light repair facility. Plans including parking for 19 cars for sale at one time, along with customer/employee handicap parking spaces. Signage will be on the building. Proposed hours of operation will be 8 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. There will be one employee. The business will be accessed from Court Street. 1611 Spring Street vacant lot, tax map 318.41-1-37 will be used as a driveway. Drive-through from Spring Street to Court Street is not capable due to the location of the proposed building. A solid fence will be installed on the west side and rear of the property between the residential properties. At the April 14th zoning meeting, the applicant was granted area variances for its rear yard setback and distance between vehicle sales and the neighboring residential district, as well as a use variance in order to reestablish an auto-related use at the site. This application was tabled at the special meeting of the planning board held on June 11th. All right. So, Chris, you want to speak to this?
And we also have to add that it was granted preliminary site plan approval at the June 18th meeting.
All right. It was.
So since the last meeting, I met about 2 weeks ago with Lieutenant Bansner from the Utica Police Department, as well as Jimmy Picola, State DOT, and Mr. Davis, the applicant. We made a site visit after what we had discussed at the previous meeting to discuss the fence and the lighting issue. After touring the site, State DOT did recommend that if a fence was, first I just want to say that the DOT did leave this site unfenced knowing that this was going to be developed into a commercial spot. However, with your recommendation of including a fence to divide this this car lot from the trail, DOT did recommend that if you're going to have a solid fence, that it should conform with the same style that exists, although not at 6 feet. They did not want to cause any disruption in the view shed from that off-ramp to Court Street, so they prefer to keep that as open as possible. But and they'd like to keep the same style fence as exists, but just taper it down from 6 feet to 3 feet for the most part. And Mr. Davis was agreeable to matching the fence at a smaller scale. He also, he along with the police department, also felt that having a shorter fence would be beneficial because you'd be able to see over the fence instead of having people loitering on the side of the fence by the business, kind of off of the sight of people on the path. This way, there's a clear view shed, but you're still separating the two uses. As far as lighting goes, Mr. Davis did say at the last meeting that he would be putting a pack light on the front of the building, and at the request of the board, he would add lighting to the west side of the building. Now, after our meeting with DOT and the Utica Police Department, I had a conversation with the City of Utica Engineering Department with Gene Santacroce. He's the engineering department staffer who would normally review site plans. He said to me that they would not, this is something that they do not typically review. If lighting was going to be on a pole, you know, in a traditional parking lot, the pole lighting is glaring over, it was a little bit more extensive, then they would weigh in on what they would like to see, if it's okay. They'd look at the foot candles and all of that jazz. Given the fact that it's just pack lights, which would be just the lights affixed to the building, they said, we have nothing to review here. So, all right. As far as the fence goes, he said that they don't review fences as well. Mr. Davis would need to get a fence permit from the codes department, but that's the only entity within City Hall that would really review the fence. And as far as fences go, they'll be okay with that as long as it's under the 6 feet. They have a problem when you're over 6 feet. That's when you need common council approval, and there's nothing wrong with that. So that's what happened after the last meeting. I don't know if anybody has any further questions about, you know, how this would be resolved. I'll just say one thing. This, the length of the fence was something that we had questioned. I know that there was some discussion about how far along the lot line it would run, whether it was all the way to the plant bed at the corner, or whether it would just be the entire length of the building. So if the board members on the call would provide a little bit of clarification on that, that would be helpful.
Well, I'm happy to hear the description of the fence, the 3 foot, and continuing with the same type of fence that's already there.
Sure.
That is what I believe I was suggesting last time, so it really sounds great to me.
Beautiful.
As to how far it goes, I guess I would ask the planning department what they think is best. I know we're talking about how close it's going to get to the landscaped area, I guess, is what we're discussing here.
Does the DOT
Yes.
have, Chris, does DOT have a recommendation as far as how far the fence should go, what sightline?
They were more concerned about the height, not the length of the fence. So at 3 feet, it's not going to obstruct any motorist's view. So they're okay with the height. They didn't say anything about the length.
Would it make sense to go right up to where the landscaping begins?
I'm just going to try to figure out the shared screen here, so please bear with me.
Mhm.
While I'm looking for this, I will also say, and Mr. Davis, correct me if I'm wrong, that the only concern with the fence, it's not really a concern, it's just he'll need a little bit of time to construct the fence. I've heard this from a number of other people as well, that it is very difficult to find the building materials for the fencing right now.
I know.
I mean, even something as simple as a fence post, it's just basically non-existent right now.
Yep.
So if we could just have a little bit of patience with that, you know, if you wanted to put maybe a year timeline or something in the resolution, just so that if we have to go back to this at some point, you can hold him to doing it by this date, or he'll have to come before the board. I know that was a concern of Mr. Priori's, so just keep that in mind as well. Just get to you. We do a share screen.
Okay, something popped up. There we go.
Can you see the Google Street View?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so your fence would be coming from this existing fence
Mm-hmm.
down to, I mean, would you, because it's not going to wrap around here, it's just stopping here. So would you say to the telephone pole? Or would you recommend, I mean,
Where's the lot line?
the lot line comes to, I can't see the,
It's
there's
more
a
of a
stake. There's a-
spear type of line because it, you know, in reality, the lot line goes, if you could show the fence over there, Chris.
Yeah.
Do you see where where the fence jags off to the left there?
Yeah.
It starts from that line right there, and then it comes like a pie shape over right next to the telephone pole.
So I think that's
So
one of,
it would actually be at an angle. You see where the telephone pole is? That my line runs right there at the telephone pole.
I suggest he put it on the lot line.
That's fine with me.
Makes
oh,
sense.
running it to the telephone pole,
That's,
or
yeah,
just link to the building, or where he has the two cars parked on the site plan.
I would just stick with the lot line and go to the pole. At least it's his land and he's got it fenced off.
Sounds
So
good.
it would run all along here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Mr.
agree.
Davis?
I like the idea of it running along on his property.
Yep.
And
I'm
it
sorry I didn't hear that.
It stops right at the telephone pole. This way it doesn't affect traffic from DOT's perspective. It's on his property and it gives plenty of room on the trail or whatever that runs adjacent to the property.
Yep.
I like
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay.
I'll do that, and what I'll do is I'll come down, and then what I'll do is at the time that I'm going to erect the fence, I'll have Mr. Picola come over there and just show him how it's. I don't know if there's something that I just hate to just square the end of the fence right there. I just want to make it look somewhat nicer. It's right at the front of the flowers and whatever. So I'm going to I'll get some ideas from Jimmy and maybe their
Okay.
design crew there.
Yeah, and
Wonderful.
perhaps turning the corner with it, and it would be a backdrop. It's only 3 feet high, a backdrop for the bench and the plant material there. So, but anyway, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't want to turn I don't want to turn the corner with the fence, but I mean, I'll go up to the pole, you know, maybe a
I
foot
would
away from the pole.
Stick
to
with
the
the lot
tele-
line.
Still provides that, delineation between the two lots, and also prevents people from cutting the corner through his lot.
Right,
Right.
Makes it a win-win for everybody.
right.
I agree.
It seems like a very fair
Yep,
decision.
it does. Sounds good.
And as I can
All right.
attest to our site visit, Mr. Davis does have a very good relationship with the state. They do work together and have constant communication.
Great.
Excellent.
Yep.
And while I understand totally that there is a shortage of materials, it would be good to see that the order was made for the fencing material, despite the fact that it may not come in for a while.
Okay.
Well, you got to remember, you still got to construct the building too. So I mean, it's going to take them a while to put a building up. So
But you would just like to receive notification when the order goes in.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna have to get a permit from the codes anyways to put that type of fence up, but I
Right.
guess what the thing would be is I think that type of fence is gonna have to be custom made. I'm gonna have to custom make that because I don't know where you would get a dog-eared fence that was 3 foot high. I know they make them 6 foot, but I don't think they make them 3 foot high. So what's going to have to be done is I'm going to either have to order the 6 foot panels and cut them all down and kind of modify it to where it would be in a 3 foot area, you know.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, in between doing that and getting the building done, I'll try to get it done in a timely manner. But I will contact, either JK or Lowe's or Home Depot and find out if and when they expect to have them. I know the last time I tried to buy 4 sections of fence for another piece of property, and they said we can't tell you when it's coming in. All we can do is just keep checking.
Okay.
All right. With that, does anybody have any further questions about this project?
No.
Any reservations?
No. Any motions? Somebody'd like to make a motion, or I will. Joe,
Joe,
would you
go
like to
ahead.
make the motion?
Go ahead, Fred.
All right, you make a motion that we approve, I should say more than the fence, but approve the site plan for Mr. Davis with the contingency that he erect a 3-foot fence from the corner of the existing fence to along his lot line. And that he supply a date of purchase of the materials for the fence. Right.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passed.
Mr. Davis, this is Kate Hartnett from the Corporation Counsel's Office. How are you?
Great. How about you?
Good. We are wondering if you have a date set to move out of State Street.
At this time, I don't. I've been trying to get the approval for the building, so I could kind of have some kind of time, some type of time frame here when we could start maneuvering things with Mr. Schaefer, the builder, and now that this is all falling into place, then I'll have a better time frame, maybe in a week or so. Then I can do it in the engineer's office or something with that, or talk with somebody else on it. Tax
Okay.
paid or. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
You.
We're all set.
All set.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend and stay safe.
Thanks. You
Thank-
too.
Thank you, Mr. You too.
Okay.
Well, that was a good resolution.
Yep.
I think so.
All right, next case. It's 5-20. The applicant is actually, I mean, the address is citywide. The applicant is the city of Utica. The owner is the
Fred?
city of Utica. Yes?
I'm just going to stop you for a minute. Kate, at this point, do we have to have Fred formally open the public comment period or the public hearing?
Well, he's going to read the application as he's doing now, and then he can formally open the public hearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, very good. The city of Utica is proposing the adoption of a new zoning ordinance pursuant with section 2-29-1232 of the city's zoning ordinance. The planning board shall commence a public hearing on the proposed amendment no more than 90 days from the date of the application for said amendment is filed with the Commissioner of Codes Enforcement. Public notice of such hearing shall be made in the prescribed manner. Following the public hearing, the planning board must vote to recommend approval or denial of the amendment. Said recommendation to be forwarded on to the Common Council. The City of Utica Department of Urban and Economic Development is requesting that the planning board vote to hold a public hearing at their next regular meeting on July 16th, 2020, which is right now. So here we are. So what shall we do next?
I would open the public hearing.
All right.
At this point, we can ask if there's anybody for
Okay.
or against.
I open the public hearing. Is that a motion to open it? Do we need a motion to open it or not?
Kate? Kate?
Yes, I'm sorry. You do need a motion to open the public hearing.
All right, I make a motion to open the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, okay. Consider the meeting open. Okay, is there anyone who would wish to speak at the public meeting? Please state their name.
Okay, I'll go first. My name is Jeff Palumbo. I'm with the law firm of Barclay Damon, and I'm also here with my partner, Corey Auerbach. We represent Lucas Western LLC. They own approximately 22 acres. It's 21 acres located at the southeast corner of Seward Avenue and French Road. And on behalf of my client, I'd like to thank the planning board for allowing us this opportunity to speak this evening. And I'd also like to thank the mayor's office and Brian Thomas. We've been working diligently with the city on behalf of our client for over a year in connection with the draft code green and the final zoning classifications contained within the code green. So the important thing is that there's been this spirit of cooperation between my client and the city, because the whole goal here was to put these parcels into a productive manner, to put them in a zoning classification that can ultimately be used and to generate tax revenue for the city. That's been the goal all along. And I think with what's being proposed in terms of the industrial and the land conservation portions of our property, I believe we have accomplished that goal. The city has accomplished that goal as well. So we do have some comments and some questions regarding the latest draft that was produced, I believe, on June 18th of this year. And we submitted by email a letter to the chairman today by email, and I'm not even sure, Chairman, if you've had a chance to look at that. But I just wanted to point out a couple of highlights of the document itself, if you'll bear with me a few minutes. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. We indicated in our letter to the board and to Brian Thomas and the Economic Development Group that in the industrial zone, we're concerned, as any industrial property owner would be, as to the suitability of a particular use on a project that's been remediated for whatever soil reason there might be. And because of that, we thought that maybe that some of the things that were allowed, some of the uses in the industrial, the city might want to take another look at. And we pointed out for the college and trade school, we proposed that there might be an addition made to the definition, which would say not including a group daycare center unless conducted as part of the school of general education and the property is not an industrial zone. And when we indicated in our letter that we don't believe that that would interfere with the ability of a daycare center in most zones, including the new industrial mixed use zone. But we want to make sure that we're on record to saying that concern could be considered. And also, there's in the industrial zone, the greenhouse, urban agriculture, and marijuana cultivation uses have basically the same issue. And we thought that by adding a clause in each of those definitions, that the use does not permit plants to be grown or animals to be raised directly in the site soils in industrial zones, that would accomplish what we're trying to accomplish, to keep those types of things out of the soil. So if you have any questions regarding those industrial recommendations, I'm happy to try to answer them. Otherwise, I could just move on to a couple of comments we have with the land conservation designations on our parcel.
And Jeff, while you're doing that, I'll share the screen just so that they can see the parcels that you're discussing.
That's great. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Can everybody see this?
Yes.
So this is these are the 4 principal properties, bounded by Seward Ave, Gilmore Place, and French Road. And then this would be the industrial. These 4 would be industrial. These 3 pieces would be land conservation. Jeff, if you'd like to continue.
Yes, thank you. And I'm glad you're pointing the land conservation areas out, because we had originally submitted, in our discussions with the city, we talked about providing a green area, a buffer area in that area of French Road and Lyon and Lemont. And we had submitted a survey, and the commissioner's office indicated that they would like to see the boundary expanded somewhat. So our client did agree to expand it to what you are now seeing on the map, providing really a nice buffer for those existing homes in the area. So we have no objection with that, and we appreciate the comments that we have been receiving from the commissioner's office and the mayor's office as well. So in terms of the land conservation uses that are contained within the land use table in Code Green, we suggested that maybe an exception to the municipal park definition could be added, similar to this, and I'll read it to you: to meet the active or passive recreational needs of people, except for municipal parks on privately owned land conservation property adjacent to industrial property, which is limited to passive recreational uses only. We think that spells out very clearly on what could and what should be located there as permitted uses. And then, as initially suggested by the city staff in one of our many discussions and conversations with them, we requested a special permit requirement for other uses in the land conservation zone, such as the cemetery, zoos, composting facilities, geothermal, municipal park, since the special permit would essentially add another layer of review for the city. So we thought that might be something that you should consider amending and requiring in the land conservation area. So that's what was contained within our letter to the chairman, the planning board chairman today. And again, I'm happy to answer any questions, and Corey is here as well if you have any questions of us, and we appreciate the time you've given us.
I don't have any questions on that. I guess I got to defer to Chris Lawrence in the planning department as far as what they consider regarding your letter.
We'll certainly take that into consideration. I know that in just our conversations that I've had with Brian today, after receiving this letter, he seems pretty much in favor with a lot of the recommendations. As far as land conservation goes, making the exception for municipal parks on privately owned land conservation property adjacent to industrial property, which is limited to passive recreational uses only. A municipal park would never be located on private property, ever. So I don't know that it's really necessary to specify something such as that in the code. And unless you plan to sell this to somebody to make a park, we really have no business in private property making parks. So that was one. The special permit requirement for, land conservation zones for a cemetery, zoo, composting facility. I mean, your comments in the industrial area related allergen. Yeah, I mean, these don't sound too outlandish. We'll consideration.
Great. We lost you a little bit there, but I think we got the gist of it.
Yeah.
So thank you. Appreciate the comments.
You're welcome.
All right, gentlemen, any questions from the board?
Not at the moment.
Tony, are you there? I can't see you.
And is there anyone else on the call that would like to speak? I thought I saw a couple numbers that I did not recognize.
I don't see anything.
Okay.
All right, would someone like to make a motion to accept this?
Well,
Oh, it's actually, so I think that the planning board should probably hold off on making a recommendation until a later date. We are still waiting for County 239M review to be completed. However, the planning board could close the public hearing tonight.
Okay. Since there isn't any other speakers, is there a motion to close the meeting?
I move to
So
close
moved.
the meeting.
Okay, second, Tony?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the meeting is closed. Okay.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, Chris?
I'm sorry. So we've closed the meeting based on Kate's, recommendation.
Right.
Now, if somebody would like to make a motion to table this,
Right.
table this action to the next meeting, that would be great.
Okay.
I move to.
I'll
Okay,
certainly
looks like-
introduce that motion.
Okay, it looks like
Tony?
Joe and Tony, Joe makes the motion and Tony seconds the motion.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. So this is tabled till the next meeting,
And that meeting's in
a month.
30
Well,
days.
the
okay.
meeting, it should be at our, so, Kate, I don't know if we want to make a specification here. I guess we would table this until we have word back from Oneida County 239
Yes.
review.
Yeah.
In which case, we might wish to have a special meeting, if at all possible, instead of going all the way until the next meeting. The next
Yes.
regularly scheduled meeting would take place on August 20th.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
Kate, we'd like to ideally have this done prior to the next council meeting, is that correct?
Yes, because I believe the common council will be holding their public hearing at the next meeting, so it would be good if they had the planning board's recommendation by then. And I believe that will be in mid-August.
Would
Now,
that be the 19th?
yeah. Now, the county 239M review should be closed by Monday. Am I correct, Chris?
Yes, it should be,
Okay.
if my calculations are correct.
So that would give the planning board plenty of time to have a special meeting after we receive anything from the
Yeah.
county. Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Someone.
Okay. All right, so then we'll be waiting for you, Chris, to get these changes cranked into the zoning document.
Will do.
All right. I guess we can close the meeting then.
So moved.
Okay. Okay. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much,
you.
everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe, guys.
So long, everyone.